Running a child care center is no easy task. That's why ProCare Solutions is here for you. Our mission: to empower and support child care providers with cutting-edge software. Join over 37,000 organizations benefiting from ProCare to automate daily operations, track enrollment and attendance, create meaningful family interactions, simplify billing and payments, stay secure and compliant, and more. We're committed to supporting child care providers every day. Visit our website or scan the QR code to learn more about ProCare. Running a child care.
Hi, everybody. We're so excited to have you here. That was a message from our sponsor for the info session today. It was ProCare. So thank you for that. Welcome to today's info session for Provider Appreciation Day for 2024. We are so thrilled to have so many of you register for the event, and that we have so many people preparing and showing their support for childcare providers for this year. The event is hosted by Child Care of America, and my name is Kelly Priest. I'm the Senior Manager of Marketing, and we can go ahead and get started. So for our agenda today, we will go into a little bit of the history of Provider Appreciation Day. We have some very special guests joining us who are going to share about events that they've hosted, and they're going to share about what made it successful and how you can leverage these ideas for the future. And then we will have our public policy and advocacy team provide some exciting updates about how you can connect your celebration to taking legislative action in your community on behalf of childcare. And then lastly, I will share some important highlights and updates to the Provider Appreciation Day website and resources that we provide. So on to the next slide. Before we get started, this is an interactive info session, and so please feel free to, it looks like you guys are already doing that, chat and introduce yourself. If you do have specific questions, please use the Q&A, and our hosts will try and answer as many questions as possible. If we don't get to it, we will follow up afterwards. And then we will also be using Poll Everywhere, as you can see on the screen. So grab your cell phones and have those ready to go. If you dial in, the number 22333 and type CCAOA, you can join the polls. And then we will prompt you on the slides. There will be a specific QR code that you can scan and answer the question. But please let us know if you have any questions or concerns there. So we'll get started. So really quickly, I'm going to go into a little bit of the history of Provider Appreciation Day, and I'm sure that everybody is at least somewhat familiar with it, but we know that child care workers have always been essential. And this was particularly prevalent during the pandemic as they safeguarded our children, nurtured curiosity, and laid the foundation for lifelong learning. Provider Appreciation Day has been celebrated for almost 3 decades. It was initiated in 1996 and occurs annually on the Friday before Mother's Day in May. And so when we refer to providers, we are encompassing family or in-home child care providers, center-based providers, and any professionals or individuals who are caring, nurturing, or teaching, the youngest members of our community. So I am thrilled to announce our next speakers. We have Desiree Donovan. She's a communication manager at Child Care of Kansas. Then after Desiree, we will hear from Kim Ginn, the Senior Vice President of Program Operations for 4C for Children in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I will turn it over to Desiree.
Hi, thanks, Kelly. Super excited to be here to share about some of our provider appreciation campaigns that we do here in Kansas. I will be coming to you with the perspective of a managing network. So we do not do any hands-on events, but we do serve as a hub for sharing statewide and local events and incentives that some of our partners do across the state. So we will go to the first slide. The next one, please. This is from our quarterly magazine that we put out. It's called Kansas Child Magazine. This is from a campaign that we did that was called Thank You Childcare. Essentially what we did is we sent out a poll or a survey to some of these organizations that we deal with on a daily basis and said, hey, we're reaching out to see if you have any messages that you want to share with child care providers here in Kansas. And we had a wonderful turnout on this. You can see the colored boxes on here are the quotes that some of the organizations or individuals provided. And then in between those quotes, you can kind of see some of our partners, you know, like the Fort Scott Area Chamber of Commerce, Kansas Health Foundation. So we had a lot of people get involved in this. And then we didn't just use this in our magazine, we also shared this on our social media pages. We incorporated this into our weekly child care provider email that gets sent out to all of our licensed child care providers here in the state of Kansas. So while we provided them with, you know, their normal updates in that newsletter, we also provided some thank yous that they might not always see. So while they might not work hand in hand with these organizations every day, they got to say, oh, hey, look, these people are thinking about me and are saying thank you. So that was a really good, easy campaign that got a lot of people involved to show appreciation for child care providers here in Kansas. The next slide is going to show you an example of our website. We do have a pad page on our site. It just kind of gives a little bit more information about Provider Appreciation Day, and the Learn More button links back to CCAOA's page where they can learn more about that history and get resources like the toolkit that CCAOA makes. The next slide. This area is also on that same pad webpage on our website. This is a place where our communities, any kind of childcare advocates can come and share. They submit their events with that orange button that we have. Like I said, we don't do any in-person events or put anything on, but we want to make sure that we are supporting those awesome organizations and individuals who are. So while we aren't going out and meeting with providers or giving them anything, we want to make sure that, you know, the CCR&Rs in our area, we are sharing their events. So it's a really simple process. An individual or organization can just click on the submit an event in your area button. And sometimes they give us flyers, sometimes they just give us copy, but we turn this into a bulletin board. And as we get closer to PAD, this fills up. And then we take that information and we utilize those weekly provider emails again, where we put all this information in there and we tell providers, hey, look what's going on in Reno County, or look what's going on in the Kansas City area. And they can kind of see the different events happening around them. So we just started this last year and we had a pretty good turnout, but we're looking to build on that some more this year. So we're pretty excited about that. The next slide is going to show you a little bit of what we do for our family audience. Pretty simple. We just have coloring pages that they can print out to have their kiddos color for their providers. We encourage them to utilize our social media tiles that you'll see on the next slide, and they'll share those on their social media pages. We encourage them to take a video or an image for their childcare providers as well. We send this information out in our monthly family email that goes to just under 8,000 families here in Kansas. And the next slide is going to show, these are just some examples of the tiles that we've made. Anybody can download these off of our website and utilize those. We usually update these periodically. And then I believe the last slide. Yeah, so then this section of the website, we provide more information about Child Care Aware of America. This area gets updated periodically. It's got today's info session on there, and then any other events that we think is important for our different audiences to see. But yeah, really here, as far as CCAKS, we just make sure that we're serving as that hub to get the information out about all the organizations that are doing the awesome PAD work.
Thank you so much, Desiree. We will turn the time over to Kim.
Thanks, Kelly. So if you go to the next slide, as Kelly said, I'm Kim Ginn. I'm Senior Vice President of 4C for Children. And we have two offices, one in Cincinnati, Ohio, and one in Dayton, Ohio. So we are the local community-based child care resource and referral agency for 15 counties in the Southwest and Miami Valley area of Ohio. We do serve center-based programs, but my focus today is going to be on family child care providers. Because we do serve over 750 family child care providers in those 15 counties. And upon talking to one of our board members who is a family child care provider, she was talking about how isolated they feel, which we all know that, and how there's really no one, there to say, hey, congratulations, you've been a provider for 10 years or 20 years, or because they're by themselves. And so we started talking, and as I was talking to this board member, we decided, well, maybe, we should do something about this. Let's get together and figure this out. And so we approached the board, our 4C for Children board, and asked to start a provider relations committee. So next slide, please. And so this committee and the board was very excited, and what we really wanted to focus on was family child care providers. This committee consists of at least 2 board members, and we have 3 staff members and then any community members that would like to serve. Our very first year, we were very fortunate that the board said, all right, we'll give you $3,000 to work with. And it might sound like a lot of money, but when you have 750 providers, $3,000 is really just like about $3.50 per provider. So it's, sounds like a lot, but when you're trying to give a gift to everybody, and that's what we decided to do. We talked about a lot of different things. And what the committee landed on was giving a gift and personally delivering it to every family child care provider that we serve in our 15 counties. So we asked for volunteers from the board to help deliver. We asked for volunteers from the community, and then our 4C staff, which consists of about 75 full-time staff members, filled in any gaps and helped with the delivery. Next slide, please. And so this is from 2022, from the Provider Appreciation Day. And on that day, we delivered over 729 bags. And you can see we, with that $3,000 budget, all we could afford to give was a cookie and a succulent. And then we printed certificates and put them in the bags. But as you are doing this, everything, so the bags, even though if the bag may only be 10 cents a piece, when you're buying 700, it adds up. So, but the providers appreciated it so much. Just the fact that we knocked on their door and said, thank you. We really appreciate all that you're doing. Next slide, please. And so this was just a card, an example, the many, many, many thank yous that we received from the family child care providers, showing their appreciation for what we did. Next slide. So some things that we learned from 2022, because that was the first time we had ever done anything like that, was keep it simple. Keep it as simple as possible. Start earlier than you think by putting bags together and planning the delivery, that you need more volunteers than what you think you do. We estimated about 10 deliveries per hour if you're doing it in the city, and to do it by pairs. Especially in the city areas and those urban areas, so someone could stay driving while the other person gets out to make the deliveries. Assign by neighborhoods, and include the phone number. We didn't, on the list that we gave, we didn't put the phone number of the providers, not thinking that if they're not home, what's going to happen. So we learned a lot that first year, made a lot of mistakes, but we learned. And take pictures. I think the first year, the pictures I have on the slide were all that we had. So it ended up being about $3.56 per bag, but that did not include any mileage or staff time. That was just the gift itself. Next slide. And so in 2023, we took all the lessons learned from 2022 and we did it again. We were very fortunate to have some additional funding this year, or that, for 2023, to be able to get these really nice Tervis cups and with our logo on them. And then we have, it takes a big heart to shape young minds on the back, and we filled it with candy and the providers just loved it. Next slide, please. And so you can see we got much more efficient with how to assemble the bags. Got a lot more people helping. Got plenty of boxes prior to put the the bags in to make it easier for the volunteers when they came to pick up their bag. We were able to just hand them their box. Next slide. And so just some more pictures of the providers and the appreciation that they had. They're still talking about it. About how wonderful it felt to have someone come out and to personally say thank you and give them a gift and just shake their hand and let them know how much we really appreciate what they do on a daily basis for the children and the families in their community. Next slide. And so once again, just the appreciation that they showed. This is just a little drop in the bucket of all the emails that we received and cards and just phone calls and thank yous to the coaches and the training staff whenever they would see a family child care provider. Next slide. And so just to wrap it up, if anyone is considering doing something like this, because it is a lot of work, but it is so rewarding. I cannot believe the joy that it brings to the family child care providers doing something like this. But it does take planning, lots and lots of planning. I recommend putting together, like we have a committee that works on this, establish a budget, and remember, even the simplest things, when you're adding it up, it costs. Get volunteer commitment, make sure you've got clear communication about your expectations, including dates, times, dates for putting the bags together, dates for picking up, and times for picking up, and when you want them delivered. Communicate to the providers beforehand that they're going to be receiving a delivery, and to have them let you know if they're not going to be home, or that if there's someplace that you can leave the gift if they're not home. Divide providers by zones or zip codes, especially in those urban areas, is very important and helpful. Like I said, have the pairs, have one stay in the car and the other one get out to do the delivery. Provide the address, phone number, and email of the providers so that your volunteers can call if that provider is not answering the door, because they might be busy with the children. And so you want to just make sure they have a way of getting a hold of them, or to let them know that they've left a gift. And then, just have fun with it. And also plan for any undeliverable gifts, because that will happen, where you'll have gifts that aren't deliverable and that you'll need to have a plan for what you're going to do, how you're going to get those to the providers. But it's well worth it. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. We really appreciate you and Desiree sharing your experiences and being willing to share your learnings and growth. I feel like this is the most important thing, that we're coming together and communicating and sharing things so that, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and that we can make this bigger every single year. So thank you so much for your time. I saw a couple of questions come in through the chat. We will definitely be sharing out the recording and subsequent materials like the slideshow, as well as really important links that you hear throughout the session. So we'll be sharing that out after the meeting ends. I am now going to pass it over to my colleague, Brittany Van Pelt. She is the Senior Specialist of Advocacy for Child Care Resource Referral, and she is going to share new advocacy resources that we have, as well as a special guest. So I'll turn it over to Brittany.
Thanks, Kelly. Building a relationship with your elected officials is one of the most effective ways to engage in childcare advocacy during Provider Appreciation Day. I'm going to talk a little more about resources in a minute, but first I want to ask you all a few questions about your advocacy journeys. Next slide. And you can use our poll everywhere function to answer these questions. Our first question is, have you ever requested an official proclamation to your elected officials to recognize Provider Appreciation Day in the past? This could have been through our Digital Action Center or personal outreach to your elected officials. Okay, so we have some people that have done it before. And some newcomers. Okay, great. A lot of good diversity in the chat. So, Let's move to the next question. Next slide. Our next question is, have you engaged with an elected official before? Engaging with your elected official could mean many things, including emailing, calling, or texting, or tweeting your elected officials, hosting or attending an event where your elected official is present, or attending a constituent meeting at home or here in DC with your elected officials. Okay, a lot of people have sent some emails. That's great. Okay, some people have thought about it but haven't done it. That's good. Wonderful. And our last question is, I feel confident and comfortable engaging in advocacy. Okay, depends on the activity. Some folks have done it before. Okay, great. Lovely, wonderful. Thank you all for engaging in those questions. If we can move to the next slide, we can get started about a couple of resources. So one of the best ways to engage in PAD advocacy is to request an official proclamation from your elected official to recognize May 10th as Provider Appreciation Day. A proclamation is an official declaration made by an elected official about a specific issue or cause, ours being celebrating childcare providers. Proclamations are typically signed and issued by federal officials, governors, state legislators, or other government officials at the local level, such as your mayor, your city council person, or your county commissioners. Requesting a proclamation for Provider Appreciation Day is easy. To start, visit our Request a Proclamation page on the PAD website. You can get there by clicking the Take Action dropdown on the PAD webpage and clicking the first option, as you can see in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. From there, you will be taken to our Request a Proclamation page where our Action Center is located, and you'll be prompted to input your contact information in order for the system to match you with your local and state officials to send an email request. In addition to requesting a proclamation from your elected officials, hosting a PAD event and inviting your local elected officials is also a great way to spread the word about the importance of childcare in your community. You can check out our PAD Advocacy Toolkit for more tips and tricks on inviting your lawmakers, and a screenshot of what's included in that advocacy toolkit is on the right-hand side of the screen. Lastly, don't forget to tag your lawmakers on social media and thank them for showing their support and appreciation for childcare providers. An example of that is in the middle of the screen. So these are all great ways to engage in PAD advocacy. Next slide. Here are a few photos from PAD events folks around the country held last year. These folks used our Digital Action Center to request a proclamation from their elected officials, and their elected officials in return read aloud those proclamations at town meetings and other events. So these are just a couple of examples of what you can do in your community if you request a proclamation from your elected officials. Next slide. Now, to get a better idea of what it looks like to request a proclamation and invite your elected officials to your PAD events, I'm excited to invite Anna, a childcare provider from Colorado, to share more about the PAD event and official proclamation signing she hosted with her elected officials last year. Anna, take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Corthias, and I am the manager for the Colorado Child Care Assistance Program in Weld County. So Weld County is intentionally close to our child care providers and alongside our community partners, to include our Early Childhood Council, just to mention one. And in honor of our child care providers, in 2023, our commissioners signed a proclamation for Provider Appreciation Day with some of our child care providers present in the commissioner's chamber. In preparation, I have to tell you, I searched for heartfelt words to be read at the proclamation signing, and I was able to capture all the words I needed from the website of Child Care Aware of America appreciate that. So with their help, those words of appreciation were held throughout our county. I appreciate that. So this year, 2024, will not be any different in terms of our proclamation. Our Early Childhood Council, along with the county, will add an afternoon reception for our child care providers. And we want to have it in the afternoon, of course, so we can personally say thank you to our providers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna, for sharing that awesome update of what you plan to do this year to celebrate Provider Appreciation Day and including your elected officials. Next slide. Again, there are so many ways to engage in PAD advocacy in your community. If you're ready to take action, you could scan the QR code to your right and email your elected officials. Taking action takes less than 5 minutes, so don't wait, email your lawmakers today. If you have any questions about requesting a proclamation or inviting your elected officials to your PAD events, feel free to email us at takeaction.usa.childcareaware.org. And now I'll pass it back to Kelly.
Thank you, Brittany and Anna. I really appreciate that. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of new resources that we put on the Provider Appreciation Day site. And my colleague Kara will put the links in the chat. So the first one is a video toolkit. So every year we ask communities to collect videos saying thank you to our child care providers. And these videos are shared on social media. We make sizzle reels out of them. It's a fantastic way to spread the word and inspire others to send in testimonials. And we always get a huge outpouring of love from our providers when they see the videos. So it means a lot. When you sign up on the site, you'll get access to all these resources that I'm talking about with step-by-step instructions. This video toolkit is helpful for how to set up gathering videos within your community. So if you have a child care center or a family home, this is some tips and tricks on how to set up a video section where you can get testimonials from your parents. And then we'll provide hands-on support to help you with the actual video collection itself and how to do that. The next thing we have that's new is some PR training. So if you're planning on an event to celebrate providers and you would like local media coverage, it is a very impactful way to elevate your work or their work. So this year in our toolkit for PR training, we have updated several of the media relations resources that I encourage you to look at. So we have a template for a press release, an op-ed, a letter to the editor, and a revised tip sheet on working with local media. We will also be hosting a media training at the end of this month in which our senior PR manager, Morgan Brill, will walk through recommendations on building your visibility for Provider Appreciation Day. That includes identifying reporters to cover issues, how to prepare for media interviews, and what media outreach should look like. We will drop the link in the chat so you can join us and register. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention that we do have several new Spanish resources. So take a look at the toolkit and look through some of the new Spanish resources that we've created there for you. So like I said earlier, the more we engage in collaboration and idea sharing and problem solving amongst each other, the better and the bigger the impact we can have. Especially this year, it's a hard election year, and so it's more important than ever for us to kind of unite together and collaborate, share our ideas, talk to each other, so that we can stay united. And so if you're looking for a few easy ways to jump right in, some of the things that we want to highlight are, of course, requesting a proclamation, attend our upcoming media training event. Recording a video is always easy to do. Explore all of the new resources that we've put up. Another easy thing that you can do is sharing messaging on social media. We do have a hashtag, it's hashtag Thank You Childcare, that we use every single year to kind of spread the word. So if everybody can kind of jump onto that hashtag, we can make it go viral. We'll be amplifying those messages in May. And then please share over any videos or images that you would like to have highlighted. Anything that you have from your celebrations, getting proclamations signed, anything like that. We would love to showcase your images and videos and perhaps provide a bank of videos and images for you to share yourselves. And it really helps us to provide tips and tricks and learnings, and then also inspiration for upcoming events. And then the very best way to get started is by going to the Provider Appreciation Day website and signing up to get Provider Appreciation Day updates about resources, webinars, and anything else that we might want to highlight for you. Next slide, please. I just really quickly wanted to highlight our symposium that's coming up in May. Like I said before, this year is more important than ever for us to kind of be united and come together. So this is the perfect time for us to network, to collaborate, to come together. We have some excellent speakers, and we're really excited about the sessions that we have to offer as well. So head over to Child Care of America's site and register for a symposium. Next slide, please. So this wraps up the session for today. Thank you so much for joining. We had a great turnout today. If you would like to partner with us further, please email us at partnerships@usa.childcareaware.org. And we're so excited to have everybody during the celebration. Thank you.